4 approaches to making a desktop operating system unbreakable, one backed by one of the largest enterprise technology companies with 7 years of production testing. One rewritten from scratch by a small team that removed the standard administrative command and switched its foundation after the first version disappointed. One built by a teenager still in school who wanted software from every distribution on a single machine, and one designed by a computer scientist whose doctoral thesis became the foundation for the largest package repository ever assembled. The enterprise veteran has a driver bug open since 2019. The rewrite had its display manager freeze on boot repeatedly. The teenager's project broke its own update tool. The academic's most important feature has been labeled experimental for over 4 years. Same goal, 4 different ideas about how to get there. The enterprise-backed variant has existed since 2019 as the Immutable edition of one of the most established open-source desktop projects. The base system is delivered as versioned file system trees. Adding a package creates a new deployment that activates after reboot. Rolling back takes a single command. Applications install through a sandboxing framework that isolates them from the base. Development tools run inside containerized workspaces with full access to the parent distribution's package manager. A user who ran traditional installations for over 20 years and always ended up with something broken badly enough to warrant a clean reinstall described 3 years on this system as the first setup that survived multiple years without degradation. The driver support limitation and group membership bug have persisted since the project launched, but the core promise of a system that never drifts from its tested state has held. Updates arrive from the same images the development team tests with, meaning every user receives an identical base. A mandatory security framework runs in enforcing mode by default, adding protection that most other desktop systems do not enable, but also creating enough friction that tutorials explaining how to disable it rank among the most visited pages for the distribution. The learning curve is the shortest of the 4. Someone familiar with the parent distribution can be productive within hours rather than weeks. The rewritten variant shipped in mid-2024 after the team spent over a year rebuilding every component from scratch. The first version on a different upstream base disappointed reviewers, and the team responded by switching the entire foundation to the unstable branch of an independent distribution, removing the standard administrative command, implementing a dual partition update model used by billions of mobile devices, and routing the entire terminal experience through a managed container. The choice of the unstable branch drew criticism because the upstream project's own security team does not manage updates for that branch, meaning security patches may not arrive in a timely manner. The team stated they would track advisories manually. The approach is the most user-friendly of the 4. Installation offers a choice of browsers during first setup. Updates only apply when the system detects idle activity, meaning a film or a game session will not be interrupted. A reviewer who could not get packages from competing distributions working through the cross-distribution tool described the system as a work in progress. The display manager froze on boot multiple times during the first year. The team removed mobile application support after discovering a security vulnerability it did not have resources to fix. The 50 GB storage requirement is the highest minimum of the 4 because 2 complete root partitions must coexist on the same drive. The teenager's variant takes the most technically advanced rolling release and makes it declarative through a single configuration file written in a standard markup format. The build tool downloads a fresh base on every update, installs everything declared in the file, and writes the new root to disk. Containers from multiple distribution families run side by side with their applications, appearing natively in the desktop launcher. Opening a package file from one distribution automatically creates a container for that distribution. Mobile application support still works. 5 desktop environments switch with a single line change. Each major version has been named after a different Indian dish, progressing from proof of concept to fully declarative system in roughly 18 months. A reviewer described the experience as curing their habit of constantly switching between distributions. The same reviewer noted that the project is not a daily driver yet. The build tool broke for all users in December 2025, and the fix required manually downloading a replacement binary. The application store has been broken since before the current version shipped. The project's package repository disables cryptographic signature verification. The team numbers 6 people with a teenager as the primary developer who also maintains a separate official distribution alongside this one. A critical review stated directly that the project feels more like a proof of concept than a system you can rely on. The academics variant treats the entire operating system as an expression in a purpose-built functional programming language where every package lives in an immutable directory identified by a cryptographic hash of all its inputs. The repository contains over 122,000 packages. The continuous integration system executes over 350,000 builds per week. The binary cache holds over 120 terabytes of pre-built packages. Nearly 3,000 contributors authored almost 60,000 commits in the most recent release cycle. The project survived a governance crisis in 2024 that saw its founder step down under an open letter signed by over 100 community members and emerged with a new elected leadership structure. A user who spent 3 years on it described the reproducibility guarantee as a superpower that ended a lifetime of switching between distributions. Another who switched away after failed attempts to configure development tools described being tired of the constant rebuild and fix cycle. The package store grows indefinitely without automatic cleanup, filling partitions within months. One user allocated 25 gigabytes the way they always had and could not rebuild after 3 months because the partition was full. The file system does not follow the standard hierarchy, breaking downloaded binaries and scripts that expect standard paths. The configuration language takes months to learn. The feature enabling dependency locking has been experimental for over 4 years. The graphical installer is described by the community as taking a limousine to the middle of a desert. The enterprise veteran for anyone who wants the shortest path from a traditional system to an immutable one, where 7 years of production testing and corporate backing mean every edge case likely has a documented solution, where the storage footprint remains predictable and manageable without manual intervention, accepting that driver support limitations and a group membership bug remain unresolved. The rewrite for anyone drawn to the most user-friendly approach, where idle-aware updates and a managed container terminal require less technical knowledge than any competitor, where the dual partition model mirrors the update mechanism proven on billions of mobile devices, accepting that the project is under 2 years old in its current form, that the team is small enough that unresolved bugs reflect capacity rather than priority, and that the upstream base does not receive timely security patches through official channels. The Teenagers project for anyone who wants declarative configuration without learning a programming language, where containers from multiple distribution families provide the widest casual software access of the 4, and where mobile application support still functions, accepting that the team and infrastructure are a fraction of every competitor's, and that the build tool, application store, and package verification have all been compromised within the past year. The academic's creation for anyone who needs the most rigorous reproducibility guarantee available anywhere, where the largest repository, the most active contributor base, and a binary cache measured in hundreds of terabytes provide capabilities nothing else matches, where a configuration tested on one machine produces a byte-for-byte identical result on another, accepting that the learning curve takes months, that the package store requires regular manual maintenance to avoid consuming the entire partition, and that the daily friction never fully disappears. 4 ways to make a system unbreakable. The cost is different every time. Every choice is a trade-off. At least now you know what you're trading.